I don't have a
Hello,
son.
everyone. Welcome to this Albion Obsessed transfer special.
Breaking news.
Breaking news on
Yeah.
Albion Obsessed. Is it breaking?
We're not really, not at this point.
No, we're not breaking.
Right. So as you've probably seen, Albion Obsessed viewers, listeners, Twitterverse, YouTubeverse, if you're a Brighton supporter, if you know anything about the club, you'll probably see that Bissouma has recently been linked to Tottenham Hotspur. And by all intents and purposes, it is just a formality now. Bissouma needs to go to complete a medical, and it looks highly likely that we will be losing our number 8. Joe, is it surprising in any way, shape or form that Bissouma will be departing this summer?
No, not at all. It's a matter of time. He's been linked left, right and centre for a good 5 transfer windows now, probably more. Ever since we brought him in, we knew we had a real talent on our hands. It took him a little while to adjust to the Premier League. I think the physicality sort of threw him off a bit, but he's grown and now is getting his reward, I guess, is what you should call it, really, is going to play some Champions League football with Spurs. And yeah, as I say, it's been coming and we can't be too surprised.
No, not in the slightest. Kurtis, I think it's probably a bit more pleasing to see Bissouma depart for a team that are in the Champions League next season, instead of a team like, as was rumoured up until very recently, Aston Villa, who many Brighton fans would always consider as a sideways step.
Yeah, I agree. I think he deserves it. He's been working really, really hard. I mean, I feel sorry for him that he has to go to London, obviously. But in all seriousness, like, you know, I wish the best for him, and I hope he does really, really well in a seemingly very well-run Tottenham squad under Conte. So,
yeah, I think that's going to be a big pull for the lad as well. Conte is an excellent manager. And, you know, fair play to him. He got a move that will help him progress his career. Joe, the figure that is being bandied about by some ranges from about 25 million to 35 million. What do you make of that fee?
The bottom end is what some people are branding a little bit disappointing. I am not overly disappointed, even if it is 25 million. I know a lot of fans would get on my back for that. But to be honest, you know, we're looking at a player that next season, if we tie him down to his contract, is going to leave for free. So 25 million pounds for a player that could go for free next summer is great business. Whichever way you look at it, whatever player it is. Spurs had a similar issue with Christian Eriksen, where it was looking like he was going to go for free, but they secured a decent enough deal for him to go to Inter Milan, and it was ridiculous money for a player of Eriksen's quality. So, yeah, if it's more of the 35 million pound mark, I would be a lot happier. But to be honest, 25 to 30, you can't really complain.
I mean, like Naylor said himself, it's 25 and there are add-ons to that as well. So probably be around to 30, 35 million anyway. So, well, I think still good, really.
I think Naylor said 30 million plus add-ons.
Yeah, well, I've got it here. It's 25 and there are add-ons is what it says. So.
I mean, as you say, Joe, it's one of those where you've got to weigh up keeping the player for an extra year. If he's not going to sign a contract, he's going to leave next season for free. Kurtis, where do you stand on that? Would you be more inclined, if you were in charge, to keep Bissouma, get another year of, you know, excellent football and then see him leave for free, or cash in now? Cash in
now, if I'm brutally honest. I think we saw during the AFCON and whatnot, we didn't necessarily miss him. As much as he's a fantastic player, and when he's really, really good on his day, he's fantastic. But I think we've got a strong enough player base to cover that area anyway. So it's not like a dire situation where we need to hold on to this player. I think it will be good for him. It's good for us to get some money out of it. And hopefully that will go towards the future.
So as Kurtis has just alluded to then, Joe, let's talk about the players that are sort of internally that could step up and replace Bissouma. A lot of people on Twitter chatting about the likes of Moises Caicedo, Alexis McAllister, Enoch Mwepu, Stephen Alzate. Who do you think is the sort of the natural replacement, or do you stand in the camp where you would like to see someone brought in?
There's no doubt that we've got the players available to replace Bissouma. Whether that be an instant replacement, I don't know. Caicedo, of course, had an amazing into the previous season just gone. He looks a ready-made replacement. If he carries that on, it's about consistency, and I really hope we see that from him. Of course, he's going to want it because he's going to the World Cup with Ecuador, hopefully at the end of the year. And Wepu is an interesting one because, as I said at the start of the episode, Bissouma took a little bit of time to adjust to the Premier League, and I think Wepu is a little bit quicker at adjusting. I feel like this season he's really hit the ground running. He's had a few games where he's dips, don't get me wrong, but so did Biss. I mean, so does anyone that comes into the Premier League and tries to adjust to arguably the best league in the world. So hopefully if we get these players on a decent string of games together, then they can set the world alight. There's no reason or no doubt in my mind that they can't do that.
Most definitely. I think the only thing about Mwepu that causes me some disquiet is just the injury record. I think last season spent a lot of time on the sidelines, which was disappointing. Another name that is getting thrown around is perhaps Kurtis, the forgotten man, Steven Alzate. I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, I've said on this podcast before about Bissouma's performance against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, but it's worth remembering that when we played Chelsea at the Amex, Steven Alzate put in one hell of a performance.
Exactly.
So, what do you think about Steven Alzate? Is Alzate ready to step up and take that position?
I think so. I'd like to give him that chance. I don't feel like we've had as much of an opportunity to see him play. Yeah, why not? You know, I think he's got, as I say, a lot of potential there. He's still young. Clearly enjoys the game when he's on his. Let me start again. When he's on his day, he's excellent. You know, we've seen him perform really, really well. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty good to see him do well.
I think Alzate is a really interesting one because Bissouma, Graham Potter could play it either way. This is a really young lad still, with the world at his feet. As we say, we've seen him put in some really good performances. I remember Liverpool away during lockdown. He was brilliant and deserved his goal. I thought he held that midfield really, really well. It's, as I say, it's a really interesting one because Alzate hasn't had the game time. I don't know if he will get the game time, especially if we bring in a monetary replacement for Bissouma in the transfer market. So if that does happen and it looks like his minutes are going to be diminished, I hope that we send him out to a decent championship club on loan so we can get 40 games a season in, and then we can see what he's really made of.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Steven Alzate, and I think Potter does as well. I think Potter came out in the press quite recently and just sort of, bigged Alzate up a bit because he's been utilised. He reminds me a lot of Romain Vancelo from back in the day. I say back in the day, it was the Amex era, beginning of that. And he was just used to pretty much play a bit of everywhere, which Alzate does quite a bit. He's played on as a wing back, as a right back, as a left back, as a left wing back. He plays a bit of everywhere. So it'll be interesting to see what the club chooses to do. And of course, two players we haven't mentioned again is Alexis McAllister, who I know many fans, going forward, Ali Mack is a fantastic player. He also loves to tackle. And he has played in that deeper sitting role before. And then there's the lesser known and apologies if I mispronounce this, the Kasper Kowalski, who was the young Polish lad that has recently returned from loan from USG.
And Pascal Gross.
And of course, Pascal Gross. Now, the only thing I would say about Pascal is that I don't like him in that deeper role. As a quarterback who's pinging passes, fair enough, but as the mean tackler, it's not his game. But again, you could make that argument about Mwepu as well. Out of all of the players we've got, the player that I think best fits that sort of Bissouma role, if you like, is probably Caicedo. But we'll have to wait and see what the club decide to do, whether Potter, chooses to bring someone else in to replace him, or if he feels like he's got the personnel at his disposal to still play really nice football.
I imagine there'll be a lot of trial and error, like trying lots of different things until something just fits. So
yeah,
and I think at the moment that he is going, if he does go this week, we've still got pre-season. So you rightly say, Kurtis, it's going to be really interesting to see what Graham Potter tries in pre-season and whether he identifies a position where we need strengthening. So yeah, correct.
Yeah, I was literally about to jump in and make that very same point. It's almost the perfect time for Biz to leave. I think if this was towards the tail end of the transfer window, we'd be looking at a different story. It gives Potter a lot of time to sort of see what he's got, see if there's any players in the under-23s that could step up, even if it's just to be part of that bigger first team picture. Who knows? But there we have it. One question that has been raised, Joe, and I raised it in our group chat as well. And now losing Bissouma would probably mean that we've lost one of the biggest names in the team, one of the cogs in the machine, as it were. So do you think that this transfer makes it potentially less likely that we'll see someone like Kukurea leave? Do you think Tony Bloom would allow two such important players to leave in the same transfer window?
We've seen it before, haven't we, where Tony Bloom has been so stubborn with regards to letting our best players go. Dale Stephens springs to mind. Johnny Cantor said that in our previous episode with him. So it's going to be really interesting. But this is serious money we're talking about, and a serious opposition and a team that mean business when they go into the transfer market in Man City. So it's going to be very hard for the club to resist. I will be extremely disappointed if we give in to the pressure of their money and give them Kukurea this season. Next season might be a bit different. Obviously, if he has another season like last, we're going to be talking ridiculous money for him. So I really hope the club realise that and just try and hold on to him so we get a mega fee for him in seasons to come.
Yeah, most definitely. I think Tony Bloom is a shrewd operator. He won't be taken for a mug, as it were. Kurtis, talking of Kukurea, what would be the fee that you would be demanding for such an important player to leave if you were Tony Bloom?
If we're saying right now,
what, 4 years left on his deal?
So, like, if I'm honest, I'd want like 75 million or something for him. I would say around that, like 75, 80. 75 is a safe one. But like, he's so important to our squad at the moment. I think it would be sort of echoing what Joe was saying. I hope we don't give in to the big money right now. Like, I hope we can hold on to him for another season, and just like Joe said, get a larger amount for him if he has another good season. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
The thing is, people are going to laugh at us, and when we mention the money that you're saying, Tom, I'm probably going to say what you're about to say again.
There's a reason you're my second wife, Joe.
There you go. But it's like, he is worth as much as what he is to us, not what he is to Manchester City.
Yeah, it's not just the fact that we're biased because we're Brighton fans. He's just very, very good. So
exactly, he's a youth product of Barcelona. Sorry, Tom, go on.
No, I was just going to say it's a seller's market. We had the same discussion about Ben White last season. It's not about how much Arsenal or how much Leeds valued Ben White at. It's about what we value him at. And if you don't want to pay what we're saying you need to pay, then off you go.
Exactly. We are under no. We don't have to sell this individual to you.
Yeah.
For 35 million or whatever the fuck you want to get. Sorry, swearing. Whatever you want to give. Sorry, language. I'm just saying, like, we just don't have to do that, and I hope we don't give in to that.
No, I think it would take a lot of money to make Tony Bloom sort of, kind of go, oh, actually, maybe we can. But again, I just reiterate this idea of it's up to us. It's not like Bissouma, who's got a year left on his contract and we'll get nothing for him next summer. Kukurea has still got 4 years left, I believe. Could be three or four. But either way, so it's up to us to determine the cost of that player. And if Manchester City want him as much as they claim to, that's your price. Pay
I would actually be more worried about us losing Leandro Trossard this transfer window.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest. I've heard the likes of Man United being linked. Barcelona were linked a few seasons back, or even last season, I think it was. So, I would really watch that one because
Trossard is a funny one for me. I've said on this podcast before that Solly March is better, and I still believe that to some degree. And when I say he's better, I think what I mean is he's more consistent. I think March is a consistently good player, whereas Trossard on his day is an exceptional player. And that's where they're two different. And sometimes you need the exceptional player to come out and just do those exceptional things. And that can be the difference between winning and losing a game. Whereas
I think I agree. Because Trossard will have these spells of having like 3 excellent games, and then he'll disappear for the next 5, and then it's like that.
I think Trossard always plays better against the big 6, or I don't want to use these words. I'm going to put them in inverted commas. The better teams. I think he can sometimes go missing against the teams that maybe sit back. I do think Potter utilising him as a left wing back has been really, really excellent. I know he has played in that position for Belgium. So with Trossard, it's a funny one. I don't think I'd be that worried about losing Trossard because we've got someone like Matoma coming in. And Matoma might not be up to the same level as Trossard is now, but I think he's another exciting prospect. I mean, the Japanese fans absolutely love him. Very highly thought of.
Well, I think he scored in his last couple of games for Japan. So
and he played for them during the Olympics as well. And he was, it was a really, when we got Matome, it was considered a bit of a coup at the time, if I remember rightly. So I think if you think about the 3 players we're probably going to lose this summer, you think Bissouma, maybe Trossard, again, similar sort of situation, a year left on the deal. Will Brighton cash in if someone like if someone like Manchester United come along with a decent offer? Or will Trossard stay because he said that he's happy here? So we'll just have to wait.
Yeah, but he also say that he's open to listening to offers.
Yeah,
I think those comments were taken a little bit out of context, to be honest. But with Trossard, I agree with what you guys are saying, but I still feel like he's quite an important player for Graham Potter. He can play in a number of positions. He can play on the left side of midfield. He can play as a false 9. He can play as a wing back. And we all know Potter loves versatility. So I would be very surprised if Graham Potter, I don't know how much of a say he has, but I would be very surprised if we let him go because the club must realise how important he is to Graham. So, yeah, be a really interesting one.
It certainly will be. It's going to be a really interesting summer. I think it could be quite a defining summer. I think we talk about all this money being banded about, 30 million plus add-ons for Bissouma, X amount for Cucurella, however much we want, whatever Trossard might, get flung at. I think what's really important, and I've said it before, is that we utilize this money sensibly and, we do reinvest. We don't want to be in a position where...
Interesting question, Tom. Sorry to stop you in your flow.
No, go for
it. Talk about... I don't think you feel Trossard is as important as what I think. So what fee would you accept for Trossard if he was to go today?
Probably a similar fee for Bissouma. I would say about 25 to 30 million. Obviously, for me, as I say, like Trossard, I totally understand that he can win a game on his own. And I get that. And I get that Solly March doesn't have that capability. But the thing I would say is that Solly March is more consistent. And sometimes sometimes that consistency is really good. And sometimes, as I say, you need someone like Trossard who can just light a game up. Similar to Anthony Knockhart used to be. So if someone came in today and said 30 million, and if the club were happy for that, I'd be happy to, back the club on that one.
See, to me, that feels a little low, but...
I think it's just, it's just about, I think it's all about how long we've got left on that contract. It's one of those, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see Trossard go. I'm not saying I'll drive Trossard to Manchester myself. I'm not saying that at all. I would like Trossard to stay. Give me the option. Trossard stays, signs another long-term deal or, for an additional year or 2. So then he stays with us for a season and then maybe he departs at the end of the next campaign. But for me, I think that I'd like to see whatever money we potentially could get with players reinvested into the squad. I've said it before, we've got a lot of young, exciting players returning from loan. However, I don't want to see us in a position a bit like Southampton have done over the last few seasons, I say last few seasons, after the last decade, who have sold perhaps their best players and then not necessarily reinvested that back into the squad. And that has seen them slip from challenging for Europe to, lower middle table. So I want to see any expenditure, put back into the club. We know that we got about £50 million for Ben White. We know we're going to get about £30 million for Bissouma. I know there is debts. I know it's Uncle Tony's money, and it's very easy to spend money that's not yours. Trust me, I know that. Look at my shirts. But I want to see at least some sort of investment. We proved last year you don't need to spend tons, because obviously Kukurea and Mwepu came in and they did really fantastically well. But if it was me, I'd probably look elsewhere and bring someone in to replace Bissouma. But that's just me. So just before we sign off, guys, just like to get from each of you a Biz highlight. So one moment from Biz's Brighton career that you would just look to and you think, yeah, that was peak Bissouma. There are many, many things. It could be something that he did on the pitch. It could be the way he interacted with fans. It could even be how he laughed after the Arsenal game, which is a gif. So, I'll go to you first, Joe.
Oh, there's so many to pick from. There really are. I tweeted out today and I said, good luck to Biss if you are leaving. He has been one of, if not the best to ever pull on a Brighton shirt. And a lot of fans have that similar outlook. One moment. You're asking me to pick one moment.
Okay, maybe if one's too hard, you can pick three.
All right. So obviously the performance at Stamford Bridge this season, I think, is well up there. We've spoken about it at length on this podcast. But I just absolutely loved how he interacted with the fans after that 3-1 Palace game, where Andone scored, where we won with 10 men. After that, the Amex was his dance floor. He was just absolutely loving life. And the North Stand were giving it large. And obviously after beating Palace 3-1, and he just seemed to be reveling in that moment. As well, I remember when we won at Selhurst Park with Anthony Knockout scoring that screamer. He was loving it in front of the away end that day. It's really special when players have that connection with fans. And I really hope that we've given him lasting memories, that he can think, Brighton made me as a footballer, and gave me the platform to go on to challenge in the Champions League, to challenge at the top end of the Premier League. I think we can be very proud and happy that we've had such a player play for our club.
Beautifully put, Joe. How about you, Kurtis?
I have to echo a lot of what Joe said. Just his relationship with the fans, how he seemingly was always really happy to interact with people and always seemed so happy. I remember some kids went up to him on the street and he gave them some shirts and stuff like that. And when we were at, I think it was when I went to the Villa game, he was there talking to kids at the sidelines and stuff like that. And it's just those little things. And the dancing and stuff like that, obviously his own chant and all those things. And just he's such a big character, and he's going to be missed, obviously. But wish him luck with the future.
Most definitely. I think I won't bore you with my Stamford Bridge thing again, but it really was probably the most complete midfield performance I've ever seen.
It was outstanding. I agree.
Yeah. It was to go toe-to-toe with the European champions and be the best player on the pitch when you've got people that had been the same sentence as they've been nominated for a Ballon d'Or. And then you've got Bissouma running the show. So that just goes to show how good he was on his day. So on the pitch, Stamford Bridge is my number one Bissouma moment above all else. And I also want to link to that. I don't know if you guys remember, I don't know if it was last season, not the season that's just ended, the season previous, or it could have been the one before that. Someone asked him, who's the best midfielder in the Premier League? And he turned around and went, I am. And it was just that self-belief. And I remember loads of opposition fans got absolutely raving mad about it. They were like, oh my gosh, he's not the best midfielder. But I think this season and last season, he proved he's in that conversation of best holding midfielders in the league. I think if you look outside the top six, he is the best. I think, Declan Rice put him in Declan Rice's top 5 midfielders in the league. Bissouma is an absolute machine on his day, and he is going to be very hard to replace. But replace him we shall, whether that be from in-house like Caicedo, or if that's from an external transfer. Although there's a lot of names being bandied about on Twitter. We'll just have to wait and see. But thank you guys for joining me. It's been lovely to chat about Bissouma and what a great human he has been. And we, we wish him all the best. That chant was one of the best chants I've seen and heard at the Amex. And it'll be a shame not to sing that again.
Well, hopefully our fans can sing it to him when we see him with Spurs.
When we're beating Spurs next time, we can just
hopefully. If he doesn't boss the midfield, that is.
North London is ours.
North London is ours. Yeah, definitely. So thank you guys for joining us on this transfer special. We'll probably bring you some more of these over the summer as we hear about transfer ins and outs. Who knows who it will be next? Maybe it will be Lewis Dunk to Burnley, Toby. No. Lewis Dunk will retire here. And that is that. Tom has spoken. So thank you very much to Joe and Kurtis for joining me on this short episode all about Bissouma and transfers. Hope to see you guys again soon. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and ring that bell for more content if you haven't done already. Take care, guys.